Hi, my name's Craig Anderson, and I'm writing a fiction book. It's of an LGBTQ plus genre, and it's a story of a guy who manifested his way into a lot of abundance and moved to the Caribbean, the Bahamas to be precise. And he has a nephew living in Paris who's gay, and he's recently split up from his latest boyfriend, and it's been a string of misstarts, I suppose you could call it. And he's feeling a bit despondent, a bit lost, and actually starting to question his own sexual orientation. So he decides to go and see his uncle in the Caribbean, who's also gay, but who previously had long term relationships in heterosexual situations. And he was trying to get a bit of clarity. He's trying to get a bit of perspective on things to see which way he should be going, what his life should be like. And so he goes to see his uncle and stays for a few days. And his uncle lives in this very big beach house in the Bahamas. He's very wealthy. And he has a couple of staff who look after the place for him. Um, and they basically look after the uncle and they run the place and everyone's happy. And they've been there for about 5 years, so they're all more like family than anything else. And so when the nephew arrives, they sit down, they start talking and sharing situations and relationships and stories and talking about different lifestyles and so on. But all the while, there is a subplot where the uncle is constantly, like every day, remembering the lost love of his life. It was a guy who he was with for a while, and he just constantly remembers him in the mornings when he wakes up, and he just wishes he's happy and well and wherever he is and whatever he's doing. And it's always a painful memory for him. It's like a wound that never heals. And the nephew, when they get talking about things, memories of the past life of the uncle, the past love of his life, they start to bubble up and come to the surface again. And it's not something he would talk about because he's afraid that people don't understand the relationship he had with this guy because it was all a bit strange. And also he's afraid that he might manifest this guy back into his life, which he doesn't really want to do. And the nephew kind of senses that there's some dark secret that is slowly coming to the surface, and he doesn't really understand. So he presses and presses and presses the uncle until eventually the uncle gives in. And he does start to talk about this lost love of his to his nephew to tell him things that happened, what went on in the world, and things and so on. And as he's doing so, more memories bubble to the surface, along with the emotions that he'd also buried along with those memories. And he actually starts to relive a lot of the arrangements and the meetups and the hookups and so on that they had in various rendezvous and so on. And it triggers a lot of flashbacks for him. There's a lot of emotions coming to the fore, and he's kind of bubbling over with these things. And it teaches the nephew a lot. He finally gets through it all. He talks to him about it, and then once everything is out in the open and down on the table, the emotions kind of seep away and they come back to normal and they have normal discussions. And he explains that this guy had a double personality, is like an inner person and an outer person, and the outer shell to him was always transparent. He could see through it, and the inner person was where everything was coming from, and it was almost like it was coming from another world, another realm, so like a different dimension or something. And in a moment of clarity, after some time of having this relationship and looking back and stepping back and looking at the patterns, he realized that this person had come to save him and to rescue him from past traumas of previous relationships that he had that had gone horribly wrong. And that's how he became his greatest teacher. And that is actually what the working title of the book is, by the way. And so what he does is he steps back and further and further, and he realizes what he's been looking for all his life is some masculine energy that this guy has. And he sort of puts everything to bed. He releases his traumas through what this guy teaches him with meditations and things, and so on. But the relationship itself is toxic, and there's a lot of dark side to the guy on in the earthbound layer that is transparent. And eventually, the relationship ends in a very traumatic way, and off they go. So there's a lot he learnt from that, and he tries to impart a lot of this wisdom to his nephew to help him navigate the modern world of gay dating and shine light on various things that exist in the gay world, such as open relationships and chemsex and various other things, in an effort to maybe help the reader try and also stop and think about some of these things and kind of go, well, maybe not, and form an opinion with a different perspective, perhaps. But eventually, yeah, it was fun to write. I enjoyed writing it. It's a good book. It does flow quite well, I think. And at the end, then eventually he does actually end up manifesting this guy back into his life right at the very end. So who knows what happens after that? It's all a bit of a cliffhanger. But yeah, it's a good book. We'll see. I hope you enjoy reading it. Thank you for your time for watching this, and we'll speak soon. Okay, take care. Bye.